You think you've got time. You don't. 99% of men will die without ever tasting real freedom, without ever knowing what it means to wake up and own every second of their day. They'll die working a job they hate, living paycheck to paycheck, while lying to themselves that one day, it'll all work out. It won't. You were born into a trap. From the moment you could walk, they told you to obey. Go to school, get a degree, get a job, save 10%, retire at 65. By then, you've got no youth. No fire, no time, and most of you're okay with that, because they've convinced you that comfort is success. A little house, a little car, a little life, but I'm here to wake you up. If you are not chasing wealth with everything you've got, if you're not obsessed with independence you're playing to lose, and the world, it doesn't care. It will watch you rot in mediocrity because that's what it's designed to do. You want freedom, you want power, then you better fight like hell for it. You wake up tomorrow morning and the sun rises just like it always does, but for you it offers nothing but another day chained to a routine you never signed up for. You believe you're special, that you're somehow exempt from the masses choking on mediocrity. But the truth is unforgiving. 99% of men will never escape the system, and they'll die broke because they waited for a miracle. You scroll through your phone, double-tapping photos of so-called success, hoping some algorithm will steal success for you. You won't crash into wealth by accident. Wealth isn't charity. It's a battlefield, and you're sitting on the sidelines praying for reinforcements that will never come. Every moment you spend convinced you'll figure it out later is another second you hand the system your life on a silver platter. You buy into the lie that time is infinite, that opportunity will soften its edges and lovingly invite you in when you're finally ready. You're not. You'll never be ready. While you're preoccupied with excuses, I need more experience. I'll wait until I have more money to invest. I'll start on Monday. Your peers who seize the moment are already further down the road, drafting their own rules and carving out their own domain. They aren't waiting for permission. They aren't watching for validation. They do because they must, because complacency is a death sentence. You think it's harsh. Life is harsher. Take a look around. Every success story you admire is built on mornings you'll never experience, nights you won't sacrifice, risks you won't take. These winners leaned into risk like it was oxygen. They embraced uncertainty because they understood that comfort kills ambition slow, painless, and permanent. You're comfortable right now. You're so comfortable you've forgotten what it feels like to want something so badly it hurts. That itch in your gut isn't anxiety. It's life telling you you're alive, demanding that you act. The clock is ticking mercilessly, and every second wasted is an opportunity surrendered. You think the system cares about your dreams, your potential, your left-behind ambitions. It doesn't. It never did. The system is a machine built to grind you down into a predictable cog. It wants you compliant, obedient, and replaceable. It wants you dependent on a paycheck and selling your time for someone else's profit. They'll give you crumbs so you survive, but they'll never give you wings to fly. And if you hand them your power willingly, you deserve the fate they've carved for you. A life of quiet desperation where your greatest regret is never discovering what you could have been. You'll hear people say, follow your passion, as if passion alone paid bills and created legacies. Passion without action is nothing but empty words echoing in an unused room. Real change demands radical urgency. It demands that you seize the reins of your destiny with a grip so tight it leaves scars. You must outwork, outthink, and outfight the versions of yourself that cling to safety, because every time you choose safety over growth, you dig your own grave a little deeper. Every time you shove discipline aside for fleeting pleasure, you prove you're willing to die broke rather than uncomfortable. Look at yourself in the mirror and admit it. You're afraid. Afraid of failing, afraid of looking stupid, afraid of stepping into uncharted territory. Good, fear is the compass pointing directly at growth. The richer, more powerful, and more independent you become, the more you'll realize fear isn't an obstacle. It's a signal that you're on the right path. You'll discover that money is more than numbers in a bank account. It's freedom to choose, to protect, to live on your own terms, but you'll never taste it if you remain paralyzed by fear's whisper. So stop waiting for a miracle. Miracles are for dreamers without the courage to fight in the trenches. If you want wealth, you must demand it with every fiber of your being. You must wake up with a plan that's so clear it consumes your every thought. You must refuse to settle for the crumbs the world offers, and instead become the architect of your own abundance. Every second you hesitate is a victory for the system that wants you broke, beaten down, and benign. If you don't become the hunter of your own fortune, you will become its prey, destined to die chasing shadows of what might have been. Comfort is a drug, and most men are addicts. You don't even realize it's killing you because it wears a friendly face. It tells you you've earned this rest. You deserve this break. Don't push too hard. It convinces you that easing off the gas is the smart move, that maybe tomorrow is a better time to be great. Comfort is silent, invisible, and deadly because it never shocks you. It slowly suffocates you. You sit on your couch, phone in hand, scrolling through 100 lives more interesting than yours, and you call it relaxation. But you're not relaxing. You're numbing yourself from the guilt that deep down you know you're wasting time you can never get back. Every man is born with fire in his gut. You see it in kids, wild energy, curiosity, intensity. But somewhere along the way it gets tamed. You get told to sit down, be quiet, stop dreaming so big. Go to school, follow the rules, get a job, and play it safe. And once you get just a taste of comfort, a paycheck that barely covers rent, a mediocre apartment, a used car that runs okay, you start convincing yourself that you've made it. You start defending your cage like it's a castle. You tell yourself, at least I'm not homeless, or I'm doing better than some people. You compare downwards so you don't have to look up and admit you're miles away from where you could be. Comfort is the enemy of growth because it robs you of urgency. It teaches you to settle. It rewires your brain to think short-term, dopamine over discipline, convenience over challenge, routine over ambition. You think you're choosing peace, but what you're really choosing is weakness disguised as rest. The longer you stay comfortable, the more allergic you become to struggle, and struggle is the birthplace of power. It's where you forge resilience, character, strength. You don't become sharp by avoiding friction. You become sharp by going to war with yourself every single day, mentally, physically, financially. You need to understand something hard. No one successful is comfortable. They may look comfortable now, but only because they were uncomfortable for years. They bled for it. They sacrificed for it. While you were watching Netflix and ordering food, they were grinding in silence, building skills, stacking cash, plotting exits from the system. The life you envy wasn't built in comfort. It was built in pain, pressure, and persistence. Comfort is seductive, but it's a lie. It whispers that you're fine where you are, that risk is dangerous, that big moves might backfire, and because you listen, you never make them, you never leap. When you live in comfort, you don't realize how soft you become. You lose your edge, you lose your urgency, you stop chasing. You sleep a little longer, work a little less, coast a little more. Days turn into weeks, weeks into months. Before you know it, you've built a whole life around avoidance. Avoiding discomfort, avoiding pressure, avoiding greatness, and the problem is no one around you will call you out on it because they're doing the same thing. They'll pat you on the back for being balanced. They'll say, "Don't burn out, bro." And you'll nod thinking you're playing it smart, when really you're just slowly dying inside the padded prison you built for yourself. You weren't built to be passive. You weren't made to just exist, to go through the motions and collect a paycheck until you rot. You were built to conquer, to create, to fight, but you'll never do any of that if you let comfort own you. It wants you to live a safe, average life, pay your bills, follow the rules, retire quietly. But there is no greatness in safety, no legacy in average, no freedom in playing it small. If you want something real, real wealth, real power, real independence, you have to get comfortable being uncomfortable. That means waking up when it sucks. That means working when no one's watching. That means saying no to temporary pleasure so you can earn permanent respect. It means choosing to be hated, misunderstood, doubted, because the path to greatness never feels warm and fuzzy. It's cold, it's ruthless, and it demands everything from you, but it gives back more than comfort ever will. Comfort gives you stillness, discipline gives you motion, comfort gives you silence, action gives you a voice. And once you've tasted what it feels like to truly move with purpose, to build something with your bare hands, you'll look back at the version of you that settled, and you won't even recognize him. Listen up. You didn't come into this world to drift through someone else's script. You're born with a responsibility stamped into your DNA. The duty to dominate your own life, to seize control over every corner of your existence. That duty isn't optional, it's non-negotiable. You owe it to yourself to stand taller than self-doubt, to build a fortress of strength around your mind, body, and bank account. Every moment you waste shirking this obligation, you're cheating yourself out of the legacy you were meant to leave. There's no neutral ground in the arena of manhood. Financial power isn't some bonus level you unlock if you get lucky. It's a battlefield you charge into with clear eyes and clenched fists. You are obligated to hunt opportunity like it's the last meal you'll ever eat, to study markets, investments, and deals until your brain aches with strategy. Money isn't evil, it's freedom. It buys time, respect, choice. If you refuse to master your finances, you surrender your life to chance and to hands that don't care about your dreams. And if you think someone else will hand you that power, you're living in a fantasy. You must produce it yourself, relentlessly, every single day. Mental strength is just as sacred. You're obliged to cultivate a mind that runs on steel, rejecting doubt and indecision. When fear whispers that you can't, your duty is to push louder in your own head. Watch me. You absorb every setback as fuel, reading the books, listening to the voices that challenge you, and refining your beliefs until your convictions are so sharp they cut through any obstacle. You don't get the luxury of mental fatigue. You don't get the luxury of whining. You get the duty of clarity in chaos, of composure under fire, of turning every scar into a blueprint for your next triumph. Physical power completes the trinity. Your body is your first weapon. You owe it to yourself to forge it into a machine that withstands every test. That means waking up before sunrise, pushing your limits until your muscles scream, and refusing to surrender until you've proven to yourself that you're more disciplined than you thought possible. If you skip workouts because you're too busy, you're lying to yourself. Every drop of sweat is a deposit in your personal bank of resilience. When the world tries to knock you down, it won't care that you have theory on your side. You'll need the raw strength to stand back up and fight. These pillars, financial, mental, physical, aren't separate paths. They're a single highway carved into your spirit. You owe it to yourself to walk it with unbreakable focus. You look in the mirror each morning and remind yourself, I am a man with a mission. You don't let distractions dictate your tempo. You don't excuse yourself from the grind. You sacrifice pleasure for progress, comfort for conquest. Every reputation you build, every challenge you overcome, cements that duty deeper into your bones. It's not enough to accept this duty intellectually. You must breathe it in with every heartbeat. You must wake up obsessed with it, eat and sleep it, and wear it like armor. When you're at the edge of giving up, remember that your promise to yourself is ironclad. You're not a child waiting for permission. You're a force of nature with the obligation to bend the world to your will. Financially independent, mentally unshakable, physically unstoppable. So stop playing small. Stop hoping someone will hand you the keys. You were never meant to beg. You were born to take. That duty is burning in your veins right now, demanding your obedience. And if you ignore it, life will punish you with regret, debt, and weakness. Every man who's ever mattered has answered this call without hesitation, and so must you. Give yourself no rest, no apology, no surrender, only the relentless pursuit of the power you owe yourself. The world you live in isn't built to lift you up. It's built to hold you down. From the minute you draw your first breath, the system is quietly locking the doors behind you. Schools are factories churning out compliant workers, not independent thinkers. You're handed a curriculum designed to teach obedience, not innovation, while the cost to attend keeps climbing. By the time you graduate, you're buried under debt that demands your lifetime labor. Every late fee, interest rate, and tuition hike is a cage door that slams shut around your ambitions before you've even had the chance to test your limits. Employment isn't freedom, it's a contract. You agree to sell your time for money, and in return they offer you benefits that barely cover your basic needs. Your paycheck arrives in neat increments, but so do the bills. Rent, utilities, insurance, taxes. They've painted over your cage in bright colors and called it security, but you're still locked inside. The more you rely on their paycheck, the less leverage you hold. You're a replaceable cog in a machine that was built to minimize risk for them and maximize dependency from you. Look at how wealth is distributed. The top 1% carve out entire industries for themselves, writing the rules in boardrooms you'll never enter. They influence legislation so that loopholes favor their accounts and punish yours. You think the economy is a neutral playing field, but that's a lie they feed you to keep you compliant. Every policy, every regulation, every tax bracket is engineered to steer capital upward. The moment you earn enough to be a threat, they'll invent a new way to take it back. Higher taxes, stricter regulations, or a fresh crisis that demands another bailout for the elites. Then there's the media, the mouthpiece of the system. It doesn't question the rigging, it celebrates it. It sells you distractions and sells them back to you as needs. You're told to buy the latest gadget, the latest fashion, the latest lifestyle, so you can keep up. Meanwhile, your savings dwindle and your attention fractures into tiny, monetized pieces. They train you to be a consumer, never a creator. The more you consume, the less you think for yourself. And the less you think, the easier it is to keep you in place, like a rat scurrying in a wheel, expending energy but going nowhere. Even technology, the so-called great equalizer, is weaponized against you. Algorithms learn your weaknesses and tailor illusions of choice, what to watch, what to buy, who to fear. They provoke outrage to keep you distracted while real power consolidates behind closed doors. You're given just enough information to feel informed, but never enough to see the full picture. They fragment your world into echo chambers, so you're too busy battling your neighbors to unite against the architects of your oppression. It's a digital prison, and you clicked accept without reading the terms. But here's the unspoken truth. Systems only have power as long as you believe in them. Every rule they impose, every contract they force you to sign, holds weight because you nod your head and comply. You call it reality, but reality is just a story they wrote, and stories can be rewritten. The moment you stop accepting their version of the world, the cage starts to crack. You begin to see the seams in their design, the lies they've told you about what's possible, the limitations they've installed to keep you predictable. So open your eyes to the mechanics of your oppression. See how money flows, how decisions are made, how permissions are granted only to those who already possess power. Build the skill set to navigate those hidden corridors, the language of finance, the art of negotiation, the mindset of relentless questioning. When you learn to speak the system's language, you can begin to hack it. You can carve your own path through the barriers they erected. And once you're moving through those cracks, once you're bending the rules in your favor, you realize the system wasn't a mountain. It was a mirage. Your mission right now is to refuse compliance. Don't sign on for a life designed by someone else. Don't play by their borrowed rules. Study the rigging until you know it better than they do, then rewrite the code. The system fears the man who understands its levers, because that man can build his own empire on the very foundations they thought they controlled. Show them they never owned you at all. Discipline isn't a trait you're born with, it's a weapon you forge through fire. And most men will never lift it. They talk about goals, they talk about dreams, they talk about the life they want like it's some magical thing that's just going to fall into their lap if they believe hard enough. But belief without discipline is delusion. That's why most men stay broke. Not because they're not smart enough, not because they didn't get lucky, but because they didn't have the discipline to show up every single day and do what needed to be done. especially when they didn't feel like it. You think motivation is going to save you. Motivation is cheap. It fades the moment life hits back. One bad night, one missed opportunity, one person doubting you, and suddenly your motivation is gone. That's why you can't build anything on it. Discipline, on the other hand, doesn't care how you feel. It shows up when you're tired. It shows up when it's raining. It shows up when nobody claps for you. Discipline is loyalty to the future version of yourself, even when the present version of you is screaming to quit. And that future version of you, the one with the money, the power, the freedom, he only exists if this version of you puts in the work right now. You want financial independence. You want the kind of life where you answer to no one. Then you better get real familiar with boredom. Real discipline means doing the same things over and over again, day after day, without applause, without distraction, without shortcuts. It's not glamorous, it's not sexy, it's repetitive, it's gritty, and it's lonely, but the rewards, they're everything. While everyone else is chasing dopamine and validation, you're stacking wins in silence. You're building a foundation so strong no one can shake it. Not haters, not setbacks, not the system. And when they finally see the result, they'll call you lucky. They always do. Look at the men who have everything you want. Money, respect, power, control. You think they got that by chance. No, they got it by outworking everybody. They got it by waking up earlier, sacrificing more, and refusing to fold when things got hard. They didn't wait for someone to push them. They pushed themselves every day without fail. They didn't scroll social media while others were reading books or building assets. They didn't skip the gym. They didn't waste time chasing approval. They were locked in, obsessed. An obsession with a purpose is what separates the kings from the crowd. You don't rise by doing what's easy. You rise by doing what's necessary. You wake up when it's dark. You work when it's inconvenient. You keep promises to yourself even when nobody's watching. That's discipline. That's how you go from broke and invisible to powerful and undeniable. The world doesn't care about your excuses. It doesn't care that you had a bad childhood, that your job sucks, that your friends don't support you. The world respects results, and the only way you get results is by mastering discipline like your life depends on it. Because it does. People will try to pull you away from the grind. They'll say you're too obsessed. They'll tell you to relax, to live a little. But those people, they're already dead inside. They gave up on greatness a long time ago, and now they can't stand to see someone else chase it. Discipline makes people uncomfortable. It exposes their lack of effort. It reminds them of everything they said they'd do and never did. So they'll mock you, doubt you, try to guilt you into being average again. Don't listen. Keep your vision tight and your circle tighter. Protect your routine like it's sacred, because it is. There will be days when it all feels pointless. Days where you see no progress, no reward, and your mind tries to convince you to walk away. That's the test. That's where most people fall. But if you can lean into the discomfort, if you can train yourself to keep going when nothing around you says you should, you unlock a different version of yourself. A version that doesn't just chase success, but expects it, lives it, owns it. Discipline is the ultimate advantage. It doesn't matter where you came from. It doesn't matter who doubted you. If you can wake up, shut up, and execute, day in and day out, you will separate from the pack. You will build wealth, power, and freedom while they scroll, sleep, and complain. You will win, not by accident, not by luck, but by design, because discipline makes the difference between a man who dreams and a man who conquers.